On the Heritage Channel tonight, the 1,000-year history of community allotments, heritage in the making with creative connections, the fragile heritage of the Humberston Fitties, and news on the latest community projects funded by the Heritage Starter Fund. Welcome to the Heritage Channel on Clee TV, where we explore the fascinating history of North East Lincolnshire in a monthly roundup of news, views and other stories. If you're watching on YouTube, click the subscribe button below, or on Facebook, join the group to make sure you don't miss any of our programmes. Heritage Lincolnshire has a range of activities you can enjoy in January, including virtual walking tours of Curtin, followed by cake at the King's Head, talks on the heritage activities and leather making workshops. Full details from the Heritage Lincolnshire website. Heritage is at the centre of the Paint the Town Proud project, with public artwork that celebrates the heritage of the past while creating heritage for future generations. The Heritage Starter Fund, managed by North East Lincolnshire Council, provides the opportunity for community organisations to explore and prepare for larger projects funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. Here are some of the most recent projects to be funded.
So we applied for the Starter Fund to help us with some research around a project around Great British fish and chips, working with two artists in London, a writer in London and a graphic novelist and reportage artist in London. It's all about getting a first part of a book started, so it's a graphic novel, and the first part is the Grimsby chapter. So it's actually enabling us to go out and make the right connections and do some initial interviews and research around making the Grimsby chapter a reality.
Well, obviously I'm excited about it. Now I can actually positively work forward to an exhibition date because the grants covered the production of the exhibition and production for a book. It's a total collection of the life and soul of Grimsby fish stocks. So the collection shows the whole story from 1990 to today's method of buying and selling fish in Grimsby.
So Linkage Community Trust is a charity for people with learning disabilities. It's based in Lincolnshire. The background to the Willesby Hall project, it's a grand Victorian mansion that was built by the Slight family. In recent years, I think there's been a recognition that you know, some of the buildings that have got very high maintenance requirements really need, you know, a strategy needs to be developed into how they can be used most effectively to make, you know, in terms of income, to make sure that they you know, the heritage of the buildings can be preserved. So I've been doing a piece of work with Linkage to look at different options for the use of the hall and the other buildings on the site. This project, the Heritage Starter project, is really going to be able to enable us to take the project to the next stage.
And the Grimsby chapter will be, even though it will be part of a book eventually, it's actually going to be exhibited in different parts of the town through a trail. There'll be outputs in cafes and galleries, there'll be output in the market, in the Minster, there'll be on walls, so the very large posters that are created to put on walls. So it'll hopefully become like a trail, so you can do all the trail or you can do part of the trail and you can go and see the story unfold.
The book launches at the exhibitions, and the exhibition is open to the public on the 29th of April for 6 days to the following Friday. So there is a bank holiday in between there, which should be nice because a lot of people are off.
What we'd like to do is produce a video that showcases and documents what Willesby Hall means to people, because I think it's a very powerful place, and it's hidden behind the trees on Willesby Road. It's a wonderful place to work and you know, and to take part in activities there. I think it's evident from how, you know, students and Linkage's adult clients base how they feel about the place, and I think that's something that hasn't been explored a great deal in heritage terms. And another part of the project is about talking to other organisations locally, heritage organisations, cultural organisations, to look at how we can work, together to maximise heritage opportunities and whether there could be greater access to the hall for members of the public or heritage groups.
And what they're hoping to do is really, from that research and connections with Iceland and the trawlers and the Immingham docks and all of that, is actually build on that research and really look at where that goes next. But the idea is actually having an end book from it as well that will have Grimsby, really highlighted and central.
We're hoping to get the Arts Council interested in taking the exhibition to other fishing ports like Brixham and Billingsgate and other venues which have a history of, like Liverpool, a history of fishing, to show it to other towns.
But I think this funding is really enabling us to for the next few months to make a real impact in terms of the next stage of the scheme, because we're looking towards a large capital grant application, but we know that we need to do a lot of work to support that, and some of this work with linkage clients and showcasing that, and also work advice on various elements, and also working with other organisations locally is something that we feel that we haven't had the opportunity to do before, that this funding is now enabling us to do.
Young people involved in the Creative Connections project have also been creating the heritage of today in a partnership project between Youth Action NEL and Hammond House. Drawing on their experiences during the COVID crisis, young people in North East Lincolnshire expressed themselves in poetry, visual art and song in an anthology to be launched at the Hammond House International Literary Festival in February.
Yeah, we just wanted to say that you are not alone. We are in this together. We'll be your light and your friend, so don't you worry about it.
Visitors to Cleethorpes looking for a friendly pub with good food will find the Punch Bowl just a short stroll along the North Promenade from the famous pier. Overlooking the beach and Humber estuary, this friendly local has been owned and run by Sheila Stafford and her family for the last 33 years. The Punch Bowl is a firm favourite with local people who enjoy the friendly atmosphere and great value food.
It's got a very good selection of food, there's plenty to choose from, and it's all very tasty.
And I've always come back, and I've always enjoyed the experience of it.
Everyone's real friendly, all the staff know my name and what have you, and I just sort of enjoy the time I spend here.
Upstairs from the busy pub is Laces, a grand function room with separate bar and stage.
On a wedding, of course, we do a full 4-course meal, or we can do buffets.
Holding up to 150 people, it's a popular venue for weddings and birthdays and a favourite of local musicians.
Oh yeah, we are looking forward to welcoming people back into Laces and into the Punch Bowl.
Whether you're looking for good value food and drink in a friendly local pub or a grand venue for that special occasion, the Punch Bowl and Laces has it all. Chalet owners in the Community Interest Company are fighting to preserve the unique heritage of the Humberston Fitties, which is under threat from climate change, commercial interests and lack of planning controls. Raising awareness in the history and heritage of this unique Plotlands community plays an important role in confronting the challenges they face.
People just think it's like a little collection of quirky wooden buildings, but it's a really important piece of social history as well. It started off at the turn of the 20th century when people would bring materials down to that bit of the beach to make themselves like little holiday homes, and then requisitioned army materials, and then it just grew out of that.
We've always gone through lots of changes, just right from the initial shacks being built and moved on. And for me, the key thing at the moment is trying to maintain some elements of the heritage and the the quirkiness of the chalets without them being overdeveloped. Since lockdown, with so many people walking through, and you can see them walk through and they go, wow, what is this? And there's nothing, there's no clue. And to be able to tell that story as to how it's evolved. I mean, the history behind local people who used to have a chalet, you know, a bungalow, and spend all summer there, and then just the workers would cycle down the seawall to work on the fish docks and come back at tea time, and the children will play on the beach, and the wives would all cook massive dinners together, and they'd have a big cookout. You know, just that whole social element of families being able to access this beautiful coastline that we've got from areas that were quite deprived at the time, really. There's always been conflict between different organisations and what people want from it, really. And I think for us it's about, let's remember just where it came from, what it is, you know, how we can preserve. So rather than we're seeing a lot of developments and stuff, so some of the original really old chalets, you know, rather than them being destroyed and pulled down, but actually renovated in keeping with what they are. So we're preserving some of that. The new developments are great, you know, it's good that places change, but it'd be a real shame to lose everything. We had comments from people all over the world who just love the Fitties and have got fond memories of it, and it's trying to sort of preserve some of that, those memories of that, and try and keep the simplicity of it, isn't it? Not overcomplicating. You go down there, you go on the beach, you get samphire, cockles, the salt marsh is beautiful. It's just a real simplistic life, really.
Community allotments played an important role during the COVID crisis, helping people enjoy a healthy lifestyle, balance the household budget and come together in a safe environment. Allotments as we know them today were established in the 19th century, but their fascinating history can be traced back to Saxon times. The history of allotments in England can be traced back over 1,000 years, when the Saxons would clear woodlands to form a field that would then be held in common. But the system we recognise today has its roots in the 19th century, when land was given over to the labouring poor for the provision of food growing. This measure was desperately needed thanks to the rapid industrialisation of the country and the lack of a welfare state. In 1908, the Small Holdings and Allotments Act came into force, placing a duty on local authorities to provide sufficient allotments according to demand. However, it wasn't until the end of the First World War that land was made available to all, primarily as a way of assisting returning servicemen. During the Second World War, food rationing caused an upsurge in allotment numbers, reaching a peak of 1.4 million in 1946.
There's been allotments since way back before the Second World War. Quite a lot of the land locally that currently has housing on it was allotment land at one time.
In 1947 I come up and I was 14, and I came up with my father to help my grandfather had to give up, and so we took it over, and that's how it evolved. I carried on from there. I got interested.
Popularity slowly declined during the second half of the 20th century until only 300,000 allotments were in use in England. But the move towards healthier lifestyles in the new century is now reversing the trend, and numbers are steadily increasing again.
Since around about 2005, there's been a growth in interest in allotments. When I came back here in 2005, I would say that probably a quarter to a third of this site was not being utilised. It is all fully utilised now.
Here in North East Lincolnshire, the local council that manages 1,800 plots over 8 sites reported a recent surge in interest as people look to grow their own food and engage in healthy activities during the COVID crisis.
Especially under lockdown, there's been a higher uptake of using our allotments.
Once COVID came in, people were actually looking for, I think, partly something to do, but also they wanted to grow their own. We've got 172 allotments on the site at the moment. I know they've been here many, many years. One of our tenants has actually been here, I believe, about 40 years. And what's really, really lovely are the amount of families, younger families, that have actually come on site, people that we perhaps wouldn't have expected.
Within 5 minutes, we'd walked in, spoke to Bill, signed on the dotted line, and we had an allotment.
We've always had an interest.
I mean, we're still learning, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh,
Some
absolutely,
things
yeah.
haven't.
It's a big learning curve.
Yeah.
I mean, just going into my third year. My older daughter found these allotments and I came and had a look and got one. And then my youngest daughter liked it so much down here, she got the one next to me.
I come down when you're at work, don't I? In the summer.
Yeah.
Because produce is coming off like don't know what.
Cabbages have been the
great.
big success. Leeks.
We want strawberries.
Well, a lot of veg.
Apple trees. Yeah.
Onions, beetroot.
Brussels sprouts. That's what I've been ordered. Nanny, make sure you've got Brussels sprouts.
And then all the grandkids love it down here. They love coming down, digging and planting and picking things. And
they're just cheap labour.
It's nice to see the fruits of your labour come together.
Well, being out in the fresh air, it's nice to grow your own food.
Plenty of sunshine, plenty of air. Exercise.
It's been somewhere they could come to get out of the house and take some exercise and spend a bit more time outside, particularly during the first lockdown. I think it's been quite a benefit for a lot of people.
Well, the community spirit is marvellous on here. Stuart, my husband, is the site rep. And so any new people we always normally take round to show them the site, and as we go along we just introduce them to people going round. We always have a spring fair, an autumn fair, we always have a bonfire party as well where we can get rid of quite a lot of wood.
In late summer, the community of the West Marsh allotments came together for a grand summer fair.
Delighted to be here this afternoon with the West Marsh Allotment Association. It's their annual summer fair.
Do you know, it's been an absolutely brilliant day. We was a bit concerned at first because the weather was supposed to be a bit unsettled, but it's turned out to be absolutely brilliant.
It's just such a pleasure to see people again.
Yeah, it's been lovely, really nice event, really good for the families.
It's been absolutely fantastic. I think they've done a good job.
So this is the first sort of big gathering we've had, big event we've had since before COVID. So I think the kids, it's all about the kids and the families getting together.
Primarily, it's really fantastic for the community, which is really my first thought when I came on here this morning. I was bowled over by the hard work that everybody does and the community spirit that I've sort of just come into, and the welcome I got really. And I can see already there's the friendships involved, you know, and that's really, really good for after lockdown, people's mental spirit as well. I've just been talking to a lovely lady. She said, I've had my allotment a year, and she said it's changed my life. For that sort of comment, I think it's quite overwhelming, and you can see the passion here as well.
For over 1,000 years, allotments have played an important role in the fabric of local communities, bringing people together to enjoy a healthy lifestyle, homegrown produce and good company. The unique heritage and history of our coastal plain continues to inspire our creative community, including artists, poets, authors and songwriters.
Is the tolling of the bell and the swirling seagull's song. To the harbour fast she runs, down to the cold quayside.
Well, that's almost all for tonight's programme, and the last in this second series celebrating the rich heritage of our coastal community. We hope to be back soon with the third series. In the meantime, you can catch up with any of our programmes on the Clee TV channel. From everyone on the production team, thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you soon for more people, places and heritage news.
The bell it tolls and the sailor's time must bide, but those in need and take no heed must face the hungry tide. The Molly G, she rides the surf onto the ocean swell, her crimson sail lost in the fret and the howling gale from hell. The waves they crash on Molly's bow, the wind howls in the rigging as he trims the sail and sets a course to seek the shoals of herring. For 5 days she waits for him, and 5 days more to see. The boats come in to land their catch, but not the Molly G. She fears the sea fret rising, the crimson sail to hide. She listens for the bell to ring,